brothers in the Lord. At one time or another, we have all been recipients of what I like to call offhanded compliments or backhanded compliments. You know, when someone says something to you and at first it sounds really nice, and then the more you think about it, you wonder to yourself, were you just insulted? Give you an example. Christmas time. I was back in Brooklyn, and I went to visit my Aunt Mary, who is my father's oldest sister-in-law. And I hadn't seen her for a while. And I walked into the house, and she did one of these. She said, "My, you are looking so healthy." When she really wanted to say, "My, you have gained an awful lot of weight." And we've all had those. And perhaps, when we hear the gospel, this 10th chapter in the Gospel of John, we may be tempted to come to the conclusion that Jesus is giving us a backhanded compliment. For after all, he's comparing us to sheep. Now, my friends, you do realize sheep are not the smartest animals in the animal kingdom. Nor are they the most sanitary. So when the Holy Father says, take on the smell of the sheep, that is one big request. But there is one quality about the sheep, a sheep. We who are his sheep. That is not only essential, it brings us to the divine. And I saw it with my own eyes when I was a little boy in Italy. Because my mother's parents, my grandparents, still, even into the 80s and early 90s, still had a small plot of land that my grandfather tilled. And my grandfather had 2 sheep. And of course, in the countryside, in the south of Salerno, where most of these plots of land, all the walls between them have basically decayed, the sheep made friends with each other, very few, so they'd all congregate as a bunch. And if I did not see it with my own eyes, I would not have believed it. That when my grandfather whistled and called, his 2 sheep, and only his 2 sheep, came to him. Everyone else stayed behind. And that's the quality. See, sheep recognize the voice of their shepherd because their shepherd is their protector, their provider, their guardian. And the message for you and I is a simple one. You and I, all of us in this church, are disciples of the Lord. And the Lord tells us that if we wish to be with him one day in glory, he has the roadmap. And he is willing, generously, freely to give that path to us. But we need to recognize his voice. We need to trust that voice. We need to surrender to what it says to us. Because he is our protector. He is our provider. He is our guardian. But he is our God, who loves us more than we can even love ourselves. He or she is your companion unto everlasting life. He or she was chosen because they will walk with you in this life. Laugh with you, cry with you, share all that life offers, but also be the conduit for the life of grace. Because it is Christ who called you, Christ who bound you together, Christ who has sustained you, and Christ will bring you unto glory. That is why, my friends, you mirror to the church. In the sacrament, you live the love of Christ for his church. And therefore, allow me to presume to say, it's over all these years, is it not that you have come to listen to learn to listen to one another. Listen not just with the ears, listen with the heart, listen with the mind. You have come to trust each other, to surrender to each other, to give everything to each other. And in doing so, not only have you the sacrament of marriage so faithfully and so filled with grace, but you give all of us a great gift. You give us hope. And you help us to remember that where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there. My friends, every moment of your married lives, you have reminded us all that Christ is present, alive, and faithful to the end. I thank you for your witness. I thank you for your fidelity. I thank you for being good parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, neighbors and friends. I thank you for being the image of Christ's love in our midst. And I wish you every grace and blessing for many, many more years of happy married life. So while it may be true that every once in a while we receive backhanded compliments, but today is not one of those days. How proud we are that the Lord calls us his sheep, because it is being his sheep and you being a sheep for one another. It is by following the voice of the shepherd that the joy of this world is only a foretaste of what awaits us in the glory of everlasting.